But no, he does it, and my theater went silent.
Ms. Marvel, which by the way was a better show than Moon Knight.
I didn't know about Michael Jackson until he died.
Welcome back to the Slate podcast, where we talk about movies, music, and media. I'm Jeff, that's George, and Dariel. Their names are under them.
Yes,
Welcome back.
Yes. Hey, hello, welcome to the Slate podcast. Thank you.
Yes.
Welcome.
How are you guys?
Doing it, man. We're busy
Doing
people.
what?
Doing it. So we're busy people, but we're here making a show. Please make sure to like and subscribe. We're trying to get this. We're having a lot of fun making this podcast. So subscribe, share it, and let's just talk about fun topics.
For sure, and thank you to everybody who's been showing support lately. We love you guys. 100%. So let's just jump right into this. Box office. Do you guys know what came out this last weekend? Any guesses?
Yes,
just
actually,
a little movie that came out this weekend.
Yes. So Oppenheimer.
No.
Incorrect. No.
Dang, we always get that.
The thing is, I'm looking at the premiere.
Yeah,
It's
not the same.
It premiered.
It's not the. You keep doing this.
I know. I keep saying because I see it. I see it online. So I'm like,
no.
I
meant for us, the peasants. What came out for us?
The common folk. Yeah. Okay.
Mission Impossible is the correct answer.
Actually, Jeff, you're wrong there. Mission Impossible came out on Wednesday, July 12th.
Snap.
Okay.
Get it
I'm
right.
sorry.
Get
Wednesday.
It right, Jeff.
Technically, people go on the weekend. Yeah. So this past weekend, Mission Impossible came out. Mm-hmm. George, I believe you saw it.
I did. Did you see it?
I was gonna see it.
So you didn't see it? I was alone.
I got busy with other things, honestly, I didn't feel urgency to go see it. So,
it's all right.
I'll watch it eventually.
No one cares.
But I don't know if you want to give us a quick, how you felt about it. But before you do that, I just want to let you guys know that it had a budget of $300 million. And domestically, it made 56. It was under the expected. They were expecting this movie to make 85 million to 95. Mm-hmm. So huge gap. And I'm counting from Wednesday that it came out. It made 56. Wow. So not looking too good.
Well, it is Sunday as we speak. So people are still going to the theater this weekend. We're still part of the weekend. Even though this will come out on Tuesday. Yes. This is still... So the numbers haven't really come out yet, but you're saying...
This is from yesterday. These are numbers from yesterday.
Okay. So it still has a chance... It still has a chance to make its money on the opening weekend, but you're saying it's still behind. Okay.
Yeah. And he said this is from
this is from Wednesday, though. Yeah. Keep that in mind.
That's true.
That's crazy. But no... well, I like 6, the one before this one, a lot. I think it's the best one. And I went to see this one, and... If I could just round everything out, basically, I give it a 9 out of 10. 7? What is it called? Dead Reckoning Part 1? And it's a Part 1, by the way. You know how movies like to do that. So, but this actually had more of a resolution. And all in all, there's really intense, well-written scenes, some awesome chase scenes and good ideas. You know, because... a lot of action movies have how do we, we have a typical chase scene. How do we make it different? Mm-hmm. And they do that very well. It's actually in the same city. What's it called? Rome, as Fast and Furious, and they have a chase scene in Fast X, right? That happens in the same, literally the same setting. And
nice.
I watched this movie and I saw it and I was like, no, this is how you do it. This is not the ridiculous.
They did it better.
Yeah, not the other thing. They did it right. Yeah. Oh, it was so good. Did y'all know Mantis is in this movie?
Yeah.
I think so,
Yeah. I didn't think her role was that
Mantis
big.
from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, from Guardians, by the way.
Yep. Yeah, she's in the trailer.
Yeah, but I didn't think her role was going to be, huge. She's in this movie a lot, and she's really cool.
Oh.
But anyways, I'll say there's a lot of scenes I could not, almost breathe because of the intensity in it. Oh wow! I was sitting here like this the whole time. A lot of the movie. But I'll say the fight scenes, they're 2% a step down from the last movie, and I think the reason being is because in the last movie, Henry Cavill, he was in it, and I heard rumors that they went back to reshoot a lot of the action scenes with Henry Cavill's stunt team because he just wasn't like 100% happy with it.
Yeah.
And that obviously like paid off big time. So the fact that Henry Cavill's not in this kind of shows in a way that his stunt team didn't come back to do it, because there's good action, but it's not the same like fight. Like the bathroom scene, everybody remembers that from the last movie. Like those action scenes are really good, but these are like more safer played in a sense and less dynamic. But either way, I think that's my only like real nitpick or negative about this movie. But all in all, it had a good idea, good concept. Basically, the villain is like super well timed for the times we're in now. It's an AI villain, basically. But there's a physical bad guy working for the AI, and I was like, oh, interesting. Okay,
that's interesting. Yeah, that's not coming. I mean, AI is something that it's been talked about for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
we're gonna talk about it later on with the last topic.
But it's not.
But briefly. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, well I was gonna say it's not AI villain, like it's not taking over art or anything. It's taking over warfare. So that's basically it.
Right. Just briefly, when I was doing research for this movie, I saw that the first one came out in '96. That's when I was born. So this thing has been going for
I was born before
good. 95.
Yeah.
Lame. 96 is where he's at.
96.
Elaborate.
96 is when Jordan won his first ring, I think.
There you go, Jordan.
You didn't know that.
So,
wait, you know what? I'm not sure about that. I don't want to get checked.
Come on, man.
I know he won a championship. I know he won a championship that year.
Go to the comment section right now.
You were born.
Tell Jeff what's up.
You were born 96. Yeah. Tom Holland was born in 96, man.
96 was it, bro. 96 was the year, bro.
I don't know.
No, but anyways, I saw that this franchise has been running from 96. Do you think... And when I saw that they didn't meet the expectations, it made me think, do you think that people are just not into this anymore? Like, it's been way too long?
I think...
And it's we're still doing this?
I think it's more so that it's like... It's probably half of that. Because it's the part one, you know? And it's not even promised that part two is like the last one. Right? Kind of like the Fast and Furious thing. So that's a little exhausting to even think about going to the theater for.
Yeah.
But also... I think the time is coming out now. Also, the promotion wasn't that great for it.
It wasn't. I feel like I didn't see much.
Yeah, I just saw trailers in the theater.
Yeah.
Like one trailer.
Me too.
That was it.
Yep.
But no, promotion-wise, it didn't really lift it up. And, you know, there's nothing super crazy about what it's bringing to the table other than the stunts. Good Lord. So that bike stunt that y'all saw, like there's a whole trailer just for that stunt. Worth it.
It's longer?
No, it's so. I won't like explain why he did it, but it's very well written into the situation he's in to do it, and because I thought it was just like, oh, he just wants to jump off and get on the train or whatever.
Get somewhere.
Yeah. And but no, he does it, and my theater went silent, like. Silent, and you can just hear the wind like going, and everybody was like just sitting there like, what's about to happen?
And also like it's real, so that
it's real.
And
the train is real. There's train sequences that they built a whole train around this action sequence just to go on the railroad because they were like, oh well, we can't actually crash a real train, so we just built our own. What?
That's that.
Yeah. So, that brings up a question about CGI, and people are saying that it's overused. And we always talk about practical effects. Like, that's the way to do it. Obviously, Mission Impossible is different because it's Tom Cruise doing it. So, obviously, he's a producer of the movie. He wants the stunts. He asks for it to be, and so people know, like, oh, okay, Mission Impossible is going to make the money. Let's put all the money into practical effects.
300 million.
And which is, by the way, like how much freaking Endgame was made for. Endgame, one of the most expensive movies.
I think it was like 315.
Yeah, well, I think it was like 356.
Somewhere.
Yeah. So, and that's like with a lot of money to put into reshoots and into CGI. But take Mission Impossible doing actual stunts, which are very expensive. Which is
I was gonna say practical stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah.
Practical effects are probably less expensive than CGI. Wouldn't you say?
No, maybe. I mean, I think practical
Effects.
stunts, like actual like practical, like a jump, like any other movie would just do it on a green screen.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a lot cheaper to just rent a studio, a space with a blue screen and just have them do that rather than like take a team out to like a mountain and rent, make a ramp.
Yeah.
And like actually jump and do it again and have safety teams and like all this stuff because you're doing it for real. I think that's a lot more expensive than just shooting in a green screen a day and then just give it to the VFX artists who they pay barely anything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was gonna say that's where the thing comes to, like, is it worth it to even not do that type of work? You know?
CGI?
Yeah.
Well, you tell me, how does those effects, those stunts look?
Worth.
Yeah, worth it, right? So it's like we have to.
But I think there's place for CGI. Like, obviously, because I've seen behind the scenes for this, the train is all built like in this way where you can't really like fall between the carts and stuff. Like, they have green screen in between the cars, so they can like spread it out and post and stuff. But that's it. Like, I think that's where CGI can lay its like crown, because you can use it to stitch things together and make something a little more authentic in a sense, just to help your movie kind of have that believability, you know?
Yeah.
Just not like take over an entire thing, you know, because people obviously see it nowadays. So this movie shows the best way to do it, big time.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's still, so it's number one. We talked about Sound of Freedom last week. It's still at number 2. 85 million worldwide. They're chilling. Insidious.
We're seeing that tomorrow, by the way. Yeah. Sound of Freedom.
Nice.
Hype.
Insidious is still number 3. Again, they also made 58 million with a budget of 16 million. I'm starting to see a pattern here where these movies that are like under 20 million, they're making their money back quick. And it's, I guess, and obviously it's the more expensive movies like Indiana Jones that have a hard time. And you would think it's Indiana Jones, but they're struggling to make their money back.
Well, that's the thing. Also, word of mouth when it comes to Indiana Jones, because I didn't see it because everybody was telling me it sucks. Yeah. Basically. Yeah. And then also, I'm not like a huge fan of Indiana Jones, but I was down to be like, let's give it a shot, you know? Yeah. Why not? But no, I didn't.
Yeah. I keep hearing that it was a little too late, but, you know. And then I just wanted to point out, I think this was an interesting stat that right now the longest in the top 10, the movie that has been there the longest right now is The Little Mermaid, 8 weeks. It's like literally on number 10. And then Spider-Verse, it's just chilling on number 6. It's been 7 weeks. Damn, so, wow. And that movie came out in
it's still in June? Theaters, guys. It's
June, I think. It's still in theaters.
June. Yep. Number 6, it's gonna be there for a while, I think.
Shoot, I might just go see it again.
Yeah, I might go see it again too. Yeah, man. And also, since we were talking about the movies being expensive, so I looked this up. What do you think is the most expensive movie ever made?
Avatar 2.
And how much?
Probably Avatar 2 or Endgame, I think.
No.
I got brought up. Okay, hold on. The most expensive movie ever made, Titanic?
No.
I've heard this one.
Okay, hold on. What era? What year? Like around.
This was.
Is it recent?
Relatively recent, and this article was from like May of this year, so it's pretty updated.
Movie. Most expensive movie.
I don't know. Go ahead.
No, nothing.
I don't know which one.
Was that the Star Wars? I was trying to do the Star Wars thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Am I doing the Star Wars thing? Am I doing Indiana Jones? What's going on?
Yeah, I thought it was Indiana Jones for a second.
I was following along, but I was like,
I don't even know what the Indiana Jones thing is. So
Yeah.
Force Awakens. It's apparently the most expensive movie.
That's what
and
it was. Dang,
It
man.
cost $447 million to make.
Bitch.
No, wait.
You know
I
what?
don't know. I don't know if marketing is included on this. It just
Yes,
said
it should be.
budget. It just said budget.
It is. I think usually budget includes marketing, but I don't think that was
Yeah.
marketing. Marketed.
Marketed.
Marketing.
Marketed.
Marketed. I don't think it's marketed.
Marketitize?
I don't think it's marketed.
Make up words on the podcast.
That much more than anything else. I think
Yeah.
why it cost so much is the sets. They actually, in that first Force Awakens, I know they actually built a lot of those sets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
So-
actually went to the desert sometimes.
And they built, they actually went to the desert. They built the
Millennium Falcon.
The Millennium Falcon, like all those exterior shots where they're like in front of the ships. Those are real ships.
Nice.
Like not real ships, but like they actually made there.
They
Like,
actually went to space.
yeah, they went to actual space.
What? And they shot each
Yeah.
other. Holy
Don't
crap.
fact
That's amazing.
check
Don't
that.
try this at home, kids.
Fact
or in
check it.
space. Don't try this in space.
Yeah, I love First Awakens was the movie that got me into Star Wars. So
Oh, that was
that
fun
was
time.
I love that
Fun
movie.
time.
Yeah. But yeah. So, anyways, that's it. I want to jump to this next topic. It's gonna be brief. We don't really cover comic books that well, but you guys are familiar with Iman Vellani, right?
Oh,
Iman,
what?
Iman Vellani. Hello.
Daryl fell asleep for a second.
Oh, you fell asleep.
You said
I-
comic
there-
books,
well-
I was like,
Oh, shut up.
Yeah. Who
I'm
cares?
just
Right?
kidding. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I'm joking.
Ain't do it.
That was a little salty.
I'm joking.
I'm joking.
Iman Vellani. You guys know
Yeah.
her, right?
Miss-
The
our new
girl
Miss
that
Marvel,
played
yeah.
Miss
I have no idea
Marvel
who-
in the MCU.
Okay.
Miss
The
Marvel.
180 right there.
Sure.
I have no idea who that is. Oh,
Yeah.
Miss Marvel, which by the way was a better show than Moon Knight, but
No,
anyways,
Get outta here.
we're just
Get
gonna
outta
move
here.
on. We're gonna move on.
Ooh. Get out of here. Nobody likes you.
Oh look, the show is called Moon Knight, and Moon Knight's barely in it, but whatever, man.
Well, that's not true at all. He's definitely in the entire show.
Barely.
He's in the
barely
whole show.
in it.
Who plays?
Please
Okay,
comment
whatever.
below if you agree with Jeff, and if you agree with us, you gotta subscribe.
You gotta subscribe.
Or not? Stop.
Is this how you're gonna be? Is this how you're gonna be? You want to take it here,
Have we stooped so low?
Bro.
Is this what we've become? All right, go ahead.
It's for the likes. No. So Iman Vellani, so she co-wrote a comic book with Sabir Pirzada, another writer, and it's a Ms. Marvel comic book.
I heard about
And
this,
in the comic book, they're gonna retcon the origin. They're gonna say that now she's a mutant. I don't know if you guys remember a couple of podcasts ago, we were talking about this. Ms. Marvel is like one of the most famous Inhumans in the comics. But obviously, Marvel Comics, they just want to follow the MCU because the MCU, people watch it, and apparently when people watch the MCU, they run straight to the comic book store. So I guess that's what it is. So I've been following a few comic book people that cover the community more closely, and apparently that's something that it's not very popular. People don't like that the comics are bending to the movies.
So
It should be
explain
the other
that-
way around.
That the movie, at the end of the show, they said that she has mutant genes, right?
Back in
So
the Miss
they-
Marvel show, spoilers, they told us that, oh yeah, Miss Marvel, she's a mutant, not an Inhuman like in the comics. So now the comics are like, yeah, and they're doing that too.
So
You know
they're
what?
Just ignoring that.
You're right.
yeah.
Do it.
So so that's what's happening. But I'm not gonna pretend that I'm a Miss Marvel fan or like I care. I don't even care, to be honest. It's the execution
You okay with that?
that bothers me.
Why are you inciting?
What are you saying? Like,
Incident.
you're a Miss Marvel fan.
I was about to
All right.
tell him actually no, I'm a Miss Marvel fan and I don't.
Well, I
I'm
said
not okay with this.
I didn't say George is not.
Yeah. Yeah, shut up, Dariel.
Yeah. I'm sorry, George. I'm sorry that they're doing your character like this. But
It's all good, man. I really
No, look.
relate to Miss Marvel as a.
stop
Puerto
right there. I'm gonna stop you right there.
Let me stop you right there.
As an Inhuman.
Okay, no, but let me explain. So what's happening is that it's the execution that's stupid, and everybody's making fun of Marvel Comics because. So what they did is in the Spider-Man comics, which are really low right now, like, and I don't mean the sales, I mean story-wise, creatively, they're broken. They decided to take Miss Marvel, the character, and kill her in a Spider-Man comic book. Why would you do that? And everybody saw this coming. This happened after the show where they say she's a mutant. After the show, they took her, killed her in a Spider-Man comic, and then a few weeks later, they told us that, oh yeah, there's gonna be a comic book to celebrate her life, this and that, the funeral. And after that comic book came out, now they're announcing that Iman Vellani is gonna be teaming up with another writer to write this new comic book, where they are turning her into a mutant, pretty much. They're gonna resurrect her in this island where the mutants live, Krakoa, and now there's a quote that says, in the Marvel website that says, and she will be shocked when she learns that she's a mutant. And it's funny because in that same paragraph, a few paragraphs before, there's a quote by Ivan Milani that says, listen, we're not retconning her inhuman origin. And then later on, yeah, and she'll be shocked when she learns she's a mutant. So it's like, even Marvel is contradicting themselves right now. Okay. So it just bugs me, man, how careless and the lack of creativity and like how predictable this was. It's like, man, people have jobs. They pay money for this thing. You should be giving them your best, you know, like, and this goes for anything. It bugs me that they're just aiming so low when people are excited for these things. But you guys probably don't have much to say about this, but
I don't.
Yeah.
I have a question though. So my question would be, if they're changing her from an inhuman to a mutant,
yes,
what does that change? What's the difference between inhuman and mutant?
Inhumans, you become Inhumans were made by the Creed?
Creed.
The Creed, and they turn into Inhumans when you're exposed to the Terra Mist that they made. Mutants, you are born a mutant, but when you're a teenager, that's when you learn if you're a mutant or not, because your powers come out.
So the difference is between
like
how you get the powers?
Yeah, like their genetic race.
So you're either genetically born with it as a mutant, or
it's something in your genes. If you're a mutant, it's like something in your genes. Inhuman, they were made by these aliens. And honestly, the mutants, the X-Men, they're way cooler. They always been and they always will be. The Inhumans are X-Men wannabe.
Y'all agree with that?
Yeah, you just throw an opinion in.
I just offended. Listen. Sometimes in this show we speak facts. Okay, listen.
As a fact, mutants are better, and like everybody knows that anyway.
Yeah. He's actually kind of right though, because everybody points towards the X-Men way more than the Inhumans.
When Marvel didn't have the rights to the X-Men, they try horrible to make the Inhumans in the MCU their new X-Men. We talked about this before.
No.
They
and we will no longer
miserably.
Talk about it. Let's forget Inhumans ever happened, and let's move on and have a better life.
I'm sorry for the 3 fans of the Inhumans that I'm offending, but
snap!
Come at me. My Instagram is down below.
No,
but
give them your address, bro. If you're gonna be brave.
Yeah, come on, bro.
I live in. No, I'm kidding.
Go bigger.
We don't want to.
Go bigger.
We don't want to do
Go
that.
bigger.
No, we don't want to do that. I'm sorry. No.
No.
So yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. I was just gonna point out I do like Miss Marvel a lot, and it is weird that the comics are bending to the shows and the TV.
You gotta say that they're bending to this shit.
No,
it's weird that
I was gonna say
are bending to this shit.
Bending to this
Wow.
shit.
What a child.
I wasn't gonna say that, Dariel. No, but is it not weird? Like, you know,
it's something
like
that
the industry
if you ask,
that the movies are inspired by.
yeah,
It's like going the other way around now.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's interesting.
That's really weird, actually.
And if you ask someone like, you know, that covers comic books more in depth, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna be like, yeah, that's stupid. Like, it should be the other way around.
Matter of fact, hand me Miss Marvel. It's right under Batman right there. Yeah. I got her.
He's
first,
got the comic book.
I
My
got
boy's
it,
got
I
the
got
actual
receipts.
book.
I got the receipts. Don't knock it over, please. I spent like $15.
We
on that.
read the books. We don't go on
We
Wikipedia.
read the book. Look at this, Volume 1. What is it? No Normal? Yeah, No Normal. Miss Marvel.
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
a good book, and this is a good run actually. Her first run as a basically her own solo series, and it's kind of what the show's inspired by. You're reading this, by the way.
Yeah, I am. I did start it. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
it's pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
And the thing is, I don't know why they don't just leave her be. You know, like they keep tossing her around in the background a lot. Like, look, they killed her in the Spider-Man story.
That's
And then-
disrespectful, bro. Like,
Yeah,
you couldn't
and-
make her own book. Like,
Right. I don't know what's going on there. So
Yeah.
it's just to be relevant. And also it's weird that the whole thing, she died and then all of a sudden you are announcing, hey, a new one is coming out and she's gonna be a like that does, it's like if Dariel died right now and then the next day sorry. And then the next day Dariel just comes back and is like,
I will.
like we didn't even have time to process.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
What the hell
the
was
worst
going on?
the worst part is that in that Spider-Man book, she was a background character. She wasn't even one of the main characters in the story. She was just, and I'm not saying this, I was reading the books. I stopped buying them. She was a background character, and then they just kill her. Like, bro, what are we doing here? But yeah, you know,
That's not how you do it, Marvel. Try again. Actually, don't.
It's just the lack of creativity.
Yeah,
It's the lack of creativity that bugs me, man. And
Yeah.
It's the lack
Leave
of
Miss Marvel
creativity
alone,
for me.
man. She's doing writing on her own, and then y'all had to go ahead and touch her. What's your problem?
whoa, yeah. But
Why'd you say whoa, Jeff?
No, it's
nothing.
okay.
So
move on.
that's it. Let's move on. I want to bring this back because we touched on this, Dario. We were talking about how in 30 years, how this year was a year where we still haven't seen a #1 hip hop album or song in the charts, and it's been 30 years since that's happened. Well, it finally happened, and it was none other than Lil Uzi Vert. I don't know if you guys have heard
Of
that name.
course.
Of course.
Little
Uzi Vert, listen to him all the
His
time.
Bump.
his album, The Pink Tape, hit #1, and this is his third
Pink
number
Tape?
one, actually. And so this year was the longest time that we waited for a hip hop. The last time that this happened was in 1993, and in that year, it was on August 7th that a hip hop album or song hit #1. And it was by this, I don't know if this is the band or artist, Cypress Hills. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. That
Sounds
was
familiar,
the
actually.
one that hit #1. I just wanted to hit on this real quick because maybe it's a generational thing, man, because to me, like, it would have made sense if a J. Cole or a Kendrick or an Eminem would have hit #1 or would have been the first artist to hit #1. I would have never expected any name with Lil, except for Lil Wayne.
I was about
But
to say,
maybe it's just generational. You know, like I don't listen to any of the new hip hop stuff. I don't hate on it. I used to get annoyed by it. Even sometimes I still get annoyed because I feel like a lot of the songs sound the same. Because hip hop, it has many branches. And I don't know, but the new era, the SoundCloud era, I never been a fan. So it kind of made me realize too when I saw this, that it's like, it's almost like what we were talking about last week with the end of an era stuff. Maybe this was the end of an era for like the Jay-Z's, the Eminems.
oh man,
They're
That kinda
not
makes me
longer
a
the
little-
ones.
Yeah, it makes me a little sad.
Yeah, they're no longer the ones that are relevant. Now it's Lil Uzi and Lil Baby and Lil Durk and Lil insert
And
name.
little. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all these new guys that are coming up now. So
And they were so little. I don't know how they get so big.
They're actually little.
Yeah, they're like physically but
Physically
they're
little.
big. Like
nothing
industry.
over 5'4". Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't even think they're even
But-
over 5, bro.
They're
Yeah.
like little people.
And shout out to Lil Wayne because he's the OG. Lil.
Yeah,
So shout out to Lil Wayne.
I can't
man.
believe this is
The real little. The real little.
the real.
He's the
Lil
real Lil.
He's a little one.
Yeah.
So-
The little one.
He's a little one.
He's the
Lil
Lil
Wayne.
one.
He's a little one.
Yes. Shout out to Lil Wayne, bro.
Shout out
Yeah.
to- Did you all know
But-
he was in the recent Spider-Verse album?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Annihilation.
You didn't
Or
hear it.
Annihilate. Annihilate.
Yeah, Annihilate. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a nice surprise for me. I was like, oh man, this guy's still around.
Yeah. He's still doing his thing.
Yeah, he's still doing his thing.
But yeah, it just made me feel old. It made me feel like a little sad.
A little sad.
And yeah, because you know
Did it make you feel a little sad?
that was not intentional. That was not intentional. But yeah, man, like gone are the days when we will see Eminem hit at number 1 again, or
No,
So-
Eminem is still out there.
No, he's never.
I don't think he's relevant enough to them because remember, all these kids, they're the ones that made Lil Uzi Vert number 1. All these kids are not gonna make Eminem number 1. They're not gonna make. It's up to us, the older generation, you know. And we're not even that old, but
Yeah, I
you
don't
we're
know why
not-
you're saying older. We're not older generation. We're mid-20s, bro. It's still.
There's
still
people. There's
pretty
people
low.
that were born in 2005 and they're 18 now.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah, think about that.
I don't want to.
I still feel pretty low, so it's all good. Yeah, I was gonna say, the thing about, like, I know it's art, but the thing about the old, like the generation before this generation is like there should be like objective rules and things that make something like a song good or a rap song, hip hop song good.
Objective?
Yeah.
His art is not objective.
No,
Art
but
is
like
not
there should-
objective.
no, I'm saying like there should be like things. Yeah, I know what you guys are saying, but like there should be things that would factor into making a song good or number 1 at least, right?
Well, I believe it's the number of sales or reproductions.
Well, you mean like the song itself? Because there's like,
Yeah, the
people
song
say like
itself,
the
like
4
creating
notes
wise.
that people usually use, and you know it'll sound good.
Something
There's
like that.
4 notes.
Yeah, and I'm not no music major or anything, but I know there's like there's rules in movie making, even though you can break some rules, but it's
I
like
see what you mean.
how you break the rules kind of.
I think that
You know?
exists in music.
Yeah.
Like the 4 notes that you use, or there are tempos and there are rhyme schemes that you can use.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, and I'm just thinking that because like obviously we can hear a song that he makes, Lil Uzi Vert, and we'll probably think like this is not it, Chief, you know.
You
And
see,
obviously
but that's the
somebody
thing
else-
to us. For example, I'm gonna use myself as an example. I grew up. Well, first of all, the first 10 years of my life, I grew up on Spanish music. But then when I got to this country, I grew up with Eminem, J. Cole. Then I got into John Bellion, Andy Mania, all these guys. And they had a specific sound. They didn't all sound alike, but it was like an era of a sound. T.I.
Oh yeah.
And then these new guys come out, and it's still hip hop, it's trap, it's another branch, and they got their sound. And kids are growing up with them, like I grew up with Eminem. And so I think that's how they go number 1, because I guess they capture ears of kids.
and
when
it's
they're
just
young.
like-
from the beginning, like from an early stage in life.
Everything evolves. And like newer generations always like the new thing. So like you're saying, like music change, and you can see that throughout the ages and throughout the decades. That new genres, somebody comes up with something, just like even just twisting just a little bit on the popular of what is trending, and then just make it their own thing, and that becomes the new thing. So it's just like evolution, like the evolution of everything.
But that's the thing. We even like old songs. Like we like old music, you know.
But we're not crazy about them, because I was gonna say, but then there's people that are older than us. They grew up on Tupac, Biggie, all these other guys, and then they look at us.
Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I wonder if it's just like your formative years. What's on the radio is what sticks to you, and so it's just kind of harder to
hear something else.
hear something new and just have like that nostalgic, like, oh man, my J. Cole, my Eminem was really good music. But to the new generation who this new music comes out, a new thing, and they just enjoy it. And so for the older generation, they can't look at that and say, that's good. I like my thing. And that's just people don't like change. And that's natural, I think.
Yeah.
Can I
think
say something?
Just to add to that, I think my only pushback is like the obvious thing, like an obvious comparison is like mumble rap versus something that J. Cole would make.
That's objectively bad.
Exactly.
No, I would still say that it's not. Because to somebody it is good.
I know, I'm joking.
Yeah, but it's like, it's just somebody stupid, right? That's what
You know, when you said that, Dariel, you're right, because these kids, they're not old enough to have nostalgia. When they're older, all these songs that we go, what the heck is that? That's gonna be their nostalgia. Just like for me, if you throw up an old Daddy Yankee song or some Spanish music or all these, like when I used to walk in middle school listening to J. Cole, that's my nostalgia. And when I play those things, they take me back, man. Like it feels good. So, they're making their memories, and this will be their nostalgia, and it's gonna be even more special to them.
But
and then the newer kids are gonna be like, "What is that? That sucks."
Sorry, but I do think that there are exceptions, of course. Like there are music or songs or just anything that transcends generations.
Right.
Timeless. Yes.
Timeless.
There's songs
Like,
that are timeless.
Timeless, that comes out in the 50s,
Yes.
60s, 70s, and people still listen to it now. And even the new generation can discover it and be like, okay, this is good. You know?
Bro, you can throw up a Frank Sinatra song right now.
Sure.
I got Frank Sinatra on my phone, bro. Fly Me to the Moon.
Oh, my
come on,
favorite
bro.
love song.
It is true. Yes, that's
There is music that is timeless. That's why here's a subjective take. That's why I think John Bellion is one of the greatest artists ever, because the music that he makes, bro, it's just so timeless. Like he literally has a song called Timeless.
I'm about to be here forever, yo.
Yeah,
I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
He's not that old, but I love Michael Jackson, bro. Like,
No, I
Again,
love Michael
another
Jackson.
great example.
Yeah, but that's my whole thing is like you make a song and sometimes it lands so perfectly that everybody could love it. But then there's songs that you make in like this generation where you're obviously it's the ones that are trying to be relevant and just do it for the cash and you know everybody's bumping it in the cars and the clubs.
Do
or
it for a
whatever.
TikTok.
Yeah, do it for a TikTok, and that won't sail for years.
yeah, it's the real artists. The people who do it for the love, or they just really just have something new to make, and it just catches people. And like music is one of those things that you can't, like any art, but like music is one of those things that you can't really explain. Like you just feel it, and people cry to music. It makes them feel happy. It can take you out of a bad spot. It can make you feel any type of way. And there's no like, you can't pinpoint like, oh, it's this and this and this. Sometimes people make something that is so beautiful or perfect in whatever unique way they're making it, that just hits different, and that's part of the human nature to just gravitate towards music. That's why music has always been around. Since people have been around, music's been around.
And it's powerful, even to the point, and obviously I'm trying to be funny, but Michael Jackson, even with all the stuff that happened, allegedly or not, Billie Jean still goes hard.
Bro.
Like,
Hard.
You gotta, bro. I still play Billie Jean.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I still play Billie Jean.
He's
Like,
not my
I
son,
don't know,
bro.
man.
That's
Maybe
just
he
a girl
did
who
it.
claims that
Maybe
I'm the
he
one.
did not. Did he did it? I don't know.
Oh,
But-
I don't know.
Are we
Well,
on
that's
this
different.
topic?
No.
Are we on this?
No, my point is that music sometimes can be so powerful and
It
timeless
transcends-
and unique that even with all that, we're like, but Billie Jean is so good.
Oh, Billie Jean.
You
I'm not
remember,
gonna stop playing Billie Jean.
Yeah,
you
Jeff,
know?
you remember the one like from college or from film school?
Yeah.
But no, remember she was defendant on Michael Jackson and like everything, and strictly because of his like music and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Jeff would bring up the good points about the situation, and she'd be like, "Nah,
No.
this song like it's real. It's a
Wait,
real
I was
thing."
against Michael. No,
No,
What?
no, you
Really?
weren't against it, but it was you weren't talking about the music. You guys were talking about just him in general.
Oh,
And then she
okay.
would bring up like his music and how it's affected millions,
It's so good though.
It is.
Yeah, his music is so good.
That
We'll
brings me
never
back
have
to
another
my
Michael Jackson.
No, we won't.
I'll say that it's funny because I didn't know about Michael Jackson until he died. He died. I remember this specifically. I know
Wait,
he
hold
died.
on. Wait, you didn't know who Michael? Wait,
Clip
hold
it.
on.
Send it.
Yeah, I didn't know
about
who
to
Michael
get-
So
Jackson
in 2009, you didn't know
Yeah.
who Michael Jackson was?
No, I was 12, and I grew up in the Dominican Republic.
I grew up in Nicaragua, and I knew who Michael Jackson was.
I know. I mean, listen, I was a kid. My parents knew. Like,
Wow,
and,
that's crazy.
I remember
We have
because
a unique scenario here. Folks.
Yeah, so I remember being in Dominican Republic, and we were actually packing to come to the U.S. That was like, we were like, okay, we got our residency, our papers came through. We're packing. I remember we're packing, and then on the TV that day, they were just running Michael Jackson music because they just announced that he just passed away. And so they were doing a whole marathon. And I was like, who is this? Just passed away? And I'm like, oh, the music's good. And it's in English. So I'm telling my dad, and he's like, yeah, I know who that is.
Bro.
Michael Jackson, of course.
He
And I'm
looked
like,
there, he
okay.
grabbed you by the shirt.
You've been living
Of course
under
I
a
know
cave?
who that is. What are you, blind?
I was like, it's English. I never listened to
That's
anything
crazy.
English.
That's
I never
insane.
listened to anything in English. So
But like, you're talking about one of the most famous
People ever.
anything in the world ever.
I'm not a very,
This
I'm very
man,
music.
this is how famous Michael Jackson was. Michael Jackson would go to a Lakers game. Everybody stopped caring about the game. They care about Michael Jackson being at the game, bro.
Yes.
This game would get brawls and things thrown at him at the game. It's not even
Bro,
his concert.
He
you
would
know?
just stand there, and people would
If
start
Michael Jackson-
fainting at his concert.
Bro,
Oh
if
my-
if Instagram was around when Michael Jackson was alive, his DMs would be crazy.
blowing up.
You don't understand. I think Instagram would have to build a whole nother server just for Michael Jackson.
the Michael
because
Jackson server. It's on
The
fire.
DMs that Michael Jackson will be getting, bro, insane. Like, you
Wild.
don't understand, Dariel. Michael Jackson was
No, wait. I do
famous,
understand.
famous.
No,
I
Daryl,
know,
I don't
I
think
know.
you really
Famous.
understand.
No, I
here.
knew.
He
Bro.
affected my life in a big way.
He touched me deeply. Like he allegedly. I'm sorry. It's not that. All right. That's what you're
He
saying.
touched my life, bro.
He touched
my
me.
life, bro. My life,
touched
your
me.
life, your life. Yeah, your life, your
All
life
right,
in
all
a big way.
Yeah,
I don't think. No, but hold on.
felt
We
that.
cannot
Let's
move
move
on
on.
because I don't think Michael.
Michael Jackson. It's
He's great.
He's great. Man.
Michael Jackson was famous. I'm sweating, bro. Oh my god, Daryl.
We can't talk about
you
Michael
know-
Jackson without making a
Daryl,
joke.
we just
You
started
can,
doing this
Daryl.
podcast. Daryl, we just
can't-
started doing this
we can't make
podcast.
That's
Can't
it.
make it.
This is our last
can't be-
pod, ladies and gentlemen.
No, it's fine.
We're gonna
Anyway.
get taken down, bro. Allegedly.
Oh, I didn't say anything. I'm talking about music and the heart.
If I could end on a high note.
Let's move on, please.
And I don't have a clip for it, but in our high school dances and stuff like that and talent shows, I used to dance Michael Jackson. And that was fun. Remember that, Jeff? Those were good times. I'd get all the ladies.
I'm sorry.
You're still on that?
You get them to do what?
All right.
Yeah.
Anyways, next topic.
Okay, let's move on, guys. And the last topic is actually something that it's a bit of a serious topic because it's affecting a lot of people. And here we try to do our research. We are not actors. We're not involved with this. We know a few people that are under this somewhat. And so we're just going to go over it. Even as we are recording this on Sunday. Something may happen.
Sunday, July
between
16th.
July 16th. So something may happen between now and Tuesday when this comes out. So if something happens, sorry, But, okay, so if you guys don't know what we're talking about, the actors, the union for the actors in the USA here in this country, they're on strike. And you probably heard it in the news or you've seen it on Instagram. now it's the actors union and the writers union. They're both on strike, and this started on Friday at midnight. So it started on Friday at midnight. If you're an actor, you could not do any work or do anything. So like Hollywood pretty much paused. You know, like Deadpool 3, you know, they were in the middle of production, shooting. They stopped. Pretty much stopped. Everything
stopped right now. Nothing's recording. I'll say this.
Literally.
And yeah. I'll say this. I saw a comment that someone said even it is affecting Canada as well, because a lot of the writers and directors are from America and they're under SAG. So that's affecting. Someone said everything is also shut down in Canada because they just use writers and directors from America. I mean, writers and actors from America. And they're still under SAG, so they just can't work.
Even at the premiere with Oppenheimer in that
in
thing
the
I
UK,
saw, in the UK, the actors just left as soon as the strike happened.
Oh, it was in the UK.
But hold on. But before we get into details, so you might be wondering, so what happened? From all the research that I gather, there's pretty much two main points: residuals and the use of AI. So to get a better understanding, so back in the day when movies and shows, they would play, you know how they do reruns on TV? And you would play, like Drake and Josh and all these things would just go on Nickelodeon over and over again. When that happens, you're supposed to get a check, like royalty check, you know, residuals. In music, they call it royalty. And that was the thing, you know, like Friends, The Office, they were making bank off of those residual checks. Then comes the streaming era, you know, it started with Netflix. Streaming became popular. Then every studio, like I think it's like the past 5 or 6 years, we've been seeing all these studios say, oh, Netflix is making money, let's do that too. So now every studio has a streaming platform, pretty much. Literally. So now everything is streaming, pretty much. And so everything changed. And with that change comes more change, you know? But what seems to be the problem is that the studios, they don't want to adjust to this new era and give a more fair deal with the actors and the writers, especially when it comes to residuals. So what I've been looking into is that apparently they don't want to, the actors were asking for a more fair payment and also more payment for the residual checks that you get. But the problem is that Netflix, Disney Plus, all these platforms, they don't want to. Okay, because so back in the day,
there's no residuals because they're not playing on a.
No, some people are getting residuals. They're getting residuals, but it's little. Like there's a writer that he wrote on the She-Hulk show, and he posted a picture on Twitter of a residual check that was like $300 or something like that. But here's the problem. So when things used to play on TV, there was data to know if a show was being watched. And depending of how much that rerun would get watched, that would affect your residual check. Now with streaming platforms, that data is there, but all these studios are hiding it. They're not letting that data be public. So we don't know how much Stranger Things or like all these shows are being watched. We don't know. And they're doing that on purpose, apparently, because they just don't want to, you know, give more pay, or they want to keep that secret. Right. So that's the problem right now. They want to keep that number safe. So when the actors are like, you should pay us fairly depending on, for example, Stranger Things. A lot of people are watching that show, so you should pay us on how good it's performing. The studios are like, nah, like we don't want to do that.
Let me bring that up on the writers as well. Something that writers don't have, which blows my mind, they don't get paid more on how the shows do. So if you write for a show and the show becomes super popular, you don't get more money. You only get what you agreed on. Yeah. And that payment, whether it sucks or it does well. But it seems crazy that something like, again, Stranger Things, you write for the show, it becomes super popular. You don't have that success in money, and like all the, of course, the production gets that money, and I think actors do get money based on the success, but writers don't get money based on success, which is crazy.
Yeah.
That's not.
And
how it works.
I think that's a stigma among like the normal audience, is that people like generally think, oh yeah, since it's popular, everybody's making money.
Everybody's making bank.
But no, it's a lot more nuanced than that.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. With the old model on TV, writers, you would write the show, you would work with the actors, you would be on set. Maybe the show was like 22 episodes a season, so it would take a while. The writers were there the whole time, so that meant a better pay. You're working more time. Now with the streaming,
you're getting on-set experience.
On-set experience, doing all that stuff. Now with the streaming model, and a season of a show is 6 episodes, 7 episodes, and we're seeing that on Netflix. We're seeing that on Disney Plus. Right. They're really short. They're a lot shorter, the point is. And they're not letting writers be on set. They're cutting down the season's length. And they're doing all these things that it's kind of messed up, because they were the ones. And I'm trying to be objective. I don't have a horse in this race, but it seems pretty unfair that
you're not being
they
objective.
were the ones.
What? Not at all. You're not being objective. Like,
no, literally.
You started from like, yo, this is messed up.
Here's a subjective opinion. Okay, I guess. It feels messed up that they were the ones that started this new model, and this new model is affecting people in a negative way. And when they want to negotiate a way of doing things in this new model, they're like, nah,
And the thing also is, the new model that all these companies, producers are going for is also making a bunch more TV shows, and just dumping a bunch of money and going into debt into making all these shows. But who makes the shows? They turn it to the writers and the actors, and like, hey, we need this stuff, but we're not gonna pay you more. We're just gonna give you less work, shorter seasons.
Yeah.
And
crunch time is insane.
So it's like, these are the people you're turning to when you need this stuff. I mean, they're literally the one who make it, and you're not even like willing to deal with fair payment when you're cutting down the work, but you don't want to pay them more.
Yeah, like the labor is increasing, but the compensation is not big. Yeah.
Well, no, the labor is decreasing.
Or
they're making shorter seasons.
I was gonna say, like, they're crunching things down, but it seems like while they're crunching it down, this mound of work is like piling up in a sense.
Yeah, but like they're making a bunch of shows. So my point is, like, they're turning to the writers to make these shows, but then they don't pay them fairly.
Right.
And the thing is too, like, maybe you tell someone that's not in this bubble like us about this, and they probably might be like, who cares? Like, they're all millionaires. But as I was doing more research, it's like, well, yeah, there's actors and people that are millionaires and are rich. But then you start looking down the ladder, and it's like, no, but there's also actors and writers out there that, to a point, they have to work another job, to like
barely making
keep up.
Yeah, because people know about James Gunn, they know about Vince Gilligan who make Breaking Bad. The people who make The Office and Parks and Rec and Ted Lasso. Like those are like big head writers and and writers, but like the vast majority of writers are not that, because there's so many writers. Just look at the credits. Every time you watch something,
like
you'll see a name, and it's like, who is that?
But even that, Dariel, even the shows that are huge, there's writers there that are broke. Apparently, like I heard this one thing that, like, The Bear, one of the writers, he like when they won an award at a ceremony, like he told his story where he was broke. Like, he could barely make it to the ceremony. And when you hear stories like that, and then I remember also hearing this, the actor that played Oscar in The Office, I remember seeing this one thing one time where he said that at one point when he was in The Office, in the show, he was also working at a restaurant. at the same time. So that's wild, because you would think you're on a show, you're in Hollywood, you're doing these things. You would think that you made it, but that was like eye-opening as I was doing research for this. That's dang. So there's people out there who are struggling, that are writing these shows and movies that we love. You know, the creator in me is like, man, like that's stupid. That sucks.
Yeah, that's a little downtrodden. They're human like us, you know. Like, it's weird to even see. Like, what was it? I remember Michael B. Jordan said in his earlier projects, like before Fruitvale Station, he was sitting in a parking lot next to his friend, and they were about to go apply to a Jack in the Box, like to work at a restaurant, and he was just like, "Man, are we really about to do this?" You know, because he's already doing good. He was a child actor and everything, and it is eye opening for a lot of people, because like you said, people think actors are just famous and rich and stuff.
Like this little bubble of like 10 people, they're making millions, but then all these other actors who are struggling. I mean, the phrase "broke artist" is real.
You're right.
And I saw this one thing where it says, you see actors and writers that are broke, but you never see anyone from the studios that are broke. So it's like, guys, you'll never. I think Dan Morrell said that.
Studio executives.
That, like, guys, you'll never be the good guys. Like, you'll never be looked at as the good guys, because you guys are the ones that are millionaires. And to be more specific, so they're striking against the where is it? They're striking against the AMPTP. That's the Alliance of Motion Pictures and Television Producers. That's the big. Those are like the bosses of the studios.
Yeah,
and they're the ones who are declining these requests that the unions have for the writers and the actors.
And the crazy thing with the writers, and I'm sure everybody's heard this because everybody's seen it online, the writers and the producers have not even had a meeting. They're not willing to negotiate.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Said something leaked. A producer said that they're waiting for the writers and the actors to lose their apartments and their houses. They're like, we're just gonna wait these people to go broke so we can have the upper hand. And it's like, you're willing. This is affecting so many people, and you're willing to just not care about their well-being and say, you want more pay? I think we can outlast you. We're the millionaires here. We can go a few months without work.
That is
can you?
Diabolical.
No. It's so evil. It is
it's
evil.
It's so greedy.
It's villain stuff.
And they said it. They said, like, this is evil, but it's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
They denied it. They did, I think, denied it. But the action is like, you're not negotiating.
Right.
They speak for themselves.
Yeah.
The writers, they're not even willing to go negotiate with the writers again. And that's what bugs me out of this whole thing. Like I said, I don't have a horse in this race, but obviously I'm rooting for them, and it bugs you. It really bugs me that it's greediness at the heart of everything, because, you know, bro, I'm not against millionaires. I want to be rich one day. Like, I love capitalism, you know. But no, let's go. Let's make this money. But it really hits you the wrong way when all these people are millionaires and billionaires, and if you give 50 million and, you know, and help this, or you can do something, like, you're a millionaire. But also, where was I going with this? Bob Iger. So the CEO of Disney, he commented on this, and he really shot himself on the foot, because his comments were a little tone deaf, and it did not help the situation at all. I believe the quote was that he was like, yeah, this is like really bad timing, and they're not being like realistic with their request. And you just look at that quote and it's like, bro, what are you talking about?
That the timing is not good right now because the industry is in an influx. So it is going down because of COVID and all this stuff. They're like, so it's really inconsiderate of them to be striking right now. And it's like,
what does that even mean?
If you're struggling, what about them?
Yeah.
You think they're doing
You think
great?
they're not? Damn.
You think they don't want to move on? And it's interesting too, like the timing. Like, bro, I remember in 2020 when we were in the thick of it, of COVID, I remember hearing a few podcasts where they would be like, yo, theaters are dead. Like it's over for movies, and we somehow made it through. So the timing is really unfortunate, and that's another reason to be mad at these people because it's like, bro, just negotiate. Go to the table with these people.
Yeah.
They're losing their houses, their apartments. Like,
They don't care about
do
people.
something.
Yeah. That's
They
the
don't care about
thing. It's like that video said. That's what negotiations are for. Even if they're saying, I don't even know all their requests, the writers, their requests and everything. But even still, if it's like laid out on the table, it's like you met once, meet again. You know, keep talking, offer this, offer that, compromise on things. You know,
like you want to resolve this quickly.
Yeah,
so
because
everybody can get back to work.
Back
'cause
to work.
It affects everybody.
Yes,
But
everybody.
when you're like, oh, you're just gonna wait it out because we can wait it out. That means you don't care about people.
Yeah, you don't care about your people
And
or
the
the
thing
business
is-
you're even in.
And the thing is, it's not only affecting the actors and writers because just go down the chain. It's gonna stop a movie production. How many people were not just actors and writers?
PAs?
You have the
Oh my
people
gosh.
working on the set. You have the security people. You have the
Yeah,
people
here.
driving these trucks, these vans.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
cleaning people, bro. It affects so many people.
We
bro.
know people. We're not even in the industry, but I've met a few people who are being impacted by this. They're not working.
Crazy.
Yeah. Oh,
Crazy.
yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
We know
Oh,
people.
yeah.
They're not working
They're
right
not
now.
working.
And everybody, even the people who are working, maybe they're not like on set
But
jobs.
they're in
even
the offices.
They're in the offices, but they're still like, I think
It's
this
barely
might
anything.
Yeah. They're like worried about their job and like maybe starting looking for a job. It's like it affects the whole industry.
Right.
So I actually have a list of things that they can do. The actors.
Before you say that, Jeff, I did want to make a point when you said like you don't have a dog in this fight. You kind of do it. We all do because we will see the repercussions of this.
Right.
a
No,
year
I meant
from
like
now.
personal. Like I'm not personally being affected.
Sure,
Like,
but you will
but
be
I
affected.
know what you mean.
When when we see the repercussions of this, because if they're able to resolve this fast, which they haven't already because it's been months, but if this goes for for more months, a few more months, we will see this obviously like a year from now or a year and a half when everything that's supposed to be shut now to come out next year will be delayed, will be canceled, and then everything we're gonna have nothing to watch.
That and then there's the ones that are in the middle, like Deadpool 3. It's in the middle of the strike, right? So and it also can't. Oh, and Superman Legacy. It can't revise things in the script and stuff, and you know everybody's casted and some of it's filmed. So it's like, how will that affect the movie down the line when it does finally release? It'll be interesting to see what that comes out to be.
It might just not be good.
Right.
And to this point, those are projects that will be able to survive this strike because they're like high end, you know, Deadpool, Superman Legacy. Content might be affected, but I don't think it'll get canceled. But the other stuff, that's the smaller
Yeah, the
shows.
Yeah.
those, if it goes for long enough, they might just be canceled because they're like
They might not even be relevant anymore.
because even in the strike, if something holds production, guess what? They're still losing money, and they're like every day that you waste because they can't get on set is money being wasted.
Yeah.
And so they might not be able to come back from this. Big projects are gonna be able to come back, but like all the other stuff,
Right.
people have no idea how many projects this is
So-
affecting.
Right.
Everything. So this is what it feels like. It feels like right now it's a competition to see who can hold their breath underwater the longest. The thing is, all these actors and writers, unfortunately, they might come a point where they're gonna have to go back to the Starbucks to and work these jobs while they wait. But I think in the end, it's gonna be the big people that are gonna get hit the hardest because right now they're good, bro. Right now they're chilling because there's still projects out there. There's still streaming platforms. There's content right now. Oppenheimer's about to come out.
Yeah,
But-
that content that
but-
was shot last year, you know.
Right. No, hold on, but I'm getting to that. So there's still stuff available, right? But when you run a company, something, there's quarters. The quarter 1, quarter 2, and at the end of each quarter, that's where you meet with your what's the word? The people that put money into a business, investors. That's where you meet with your investors, and you gotta be accountable for what's happening. Maybe it might take months, even maybe next year, But there's gonna come a point, I think, that they're gonna start feeling the effect, and the end of the quarter is gonna happen, and they're gonna have to meet with their investors and things like that. And I think they're gonna start feeling pressure from the investors, like, we're losing money here.
Yeah.
You better
Nothing's
go back to
happening.
that table and negotiate, because if not, we're dipping. We're taking our money and going somewhere else. I think that's when they're gonna start losing their, feeling the effect. Unfortunately, it might take months. They can wait. Unfortunately, the people that will get hurt the most is the people that don't have millions, you know?
Right.
But eventually, they'll start feeling the pain, and they're gonna have to come to an agreement. And I wonder if they come to an agreement, it will settle that, okay, now we have a new model, streaming. We finally have a fair agreement over streaming. We're good to go. Streaming is gonna be here for the next 50 years. Or this will be what kills streaming, or most streaming platforms, because you couldn't come up with to a fair agreement, so the streaming model just dies, and Netflix will probably be the only one standing, because I believe Netflix right now is the only platform that's actually making money. All these other platforms?
You mean streaming for movies or TV shows
Yes,
as well?
both. HBO, Disney Plus, Netflix. That's what I mean.
I think streaming might die for movies, which I think it should.
I'm talking about the platform in general.
That won't go away. I don't think. Well,
You mean like,
You know what I was gonna
like
say?
Disney Plus and
Netflix?
stuff? Yeah.
Netflix is the only platform right now making a profit. Disney Plus and all these other ones, they're not profitable yet. That's what I'm saying. If you don't come up with a fair agreement on this new streaming model, this might kill a bunch of these companies. Because the reason why they started in the first place is because they saw Netflix have success.
Yeah.
You feel me? So it's like...
And you just reminded me of a thing I thought of before. The whole thing about the numbers not being released. Like Disney Plus, Disney especially has this knack of like releasing a little bit of numbers and then like some sort of information just to kind of stop people from talking about it. But I heard like their past couple of projects, from like Little Mermaid to Wakanda Forever, and like all these past like 8 projects. Elemental, they didn't make as much as they were supposed to, in the sense of like compensating to cover for like Disney Plus or streaming, or even like holding it in theaters for long enough. And they're not like, Disney's not like saying that, you know. They're just like, all right, we're on to the next one, you know. And that's weird, because it's like, if you tank on Peter Pan and Wendy, that flopped.
I mean, it didn't even come out in theaters.
It didn't. Yeah, but it's like they know that. They know, they're like, oh, let's just drop it here, and then, you know,
we'll just forget it.
We'll forget it and move on to Elemental.
I think
you know,
the fact that Netflix, like you said, was making movies for Netflix and it was working, I guess, for them. Disney can't do that, and what I hope dies is the streaming movies. That's what's killing this industry, because movies are meant to be in theater.
Yep.
And what
make the case now, Dariel.
What these
Thank you, Tom
platforms
Cruise.
were, yes,
Let's
thank you. What these platforms are doing is like they're putting their movies in theaters, and literally the next week it comes off theaters, it's just in the streaming, and people are just saying, well, I just wait until it comes out in streaming. And they're just not going to the theater.
Terrible case, and you lose a lot of money.
Yeah, and it disincentivizes people to go to the theater and enjoy movies really the way they should be. Theater experience is just a different thing, and like watching a movie at home is nice, but like we should start getting out and going to the movies. So I think at least a streaming, I think movies should stop being streamed and go back to the theater, and everybody's gonna make more money that way.
Yeah.
Instead of doing this half-ass like putting the movies just as a theater. Sometimes they do it at the same time, or sometimes you just go straight.
Worse. Oh my god.
Just go straight to streaming.
Yeah, basically, and it's a different process to make a movie just for streaming too. Like I've seen behind the scenes for that one movie on Apple, Ghosted, with Chris Evans and Ana de Armas, and he was talking about it, and he felt the pressure of like making a streaming movie. Like it's not the same because people are at home and they can pause it and things like that. So I feel like there's no real authenticity to go into a project. Like, imagine Oppenheimer comes out on streaming.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the same.
Movies are not meant to be watched at home and be able to be paused.
Yeah, and he made one point of like, oh, it's going to be made for stream, or it's going to be made for audiences at home, so you have to make something happen, like, you know, like you have to have something exciting happen within a set first like 10 minutes, or you lose them.
Yeah. And the thing too, I think it does when you release movies on streaming and make people say, I'm not gonna watch a movie in theaters. I'm just gonna wait until it comes out in streaming, which a lot of people do now. Is like it makes people think that movies are not worth $10, $14, and people are taking the value of a movie away. And when you realize how much money it costs and how much work it costs and how many people work on a movie, and people are now saying, that movie's not worth my $14. I'd rather just...
That's kind of sad.
Yeah, I'd rather just watch it in streaming. It's like, man, there's so many people that put so much work into it. And it disincentivizes people's view, and it's changing the way people view movies. Movies was this huge thing. If a movie came out, you're like, ooh.
It's an event.
It's an event, and I want to go to theater so I experience it. But you're changing the movie experience.
That's the point of credits.
For the worse.
That's the point of credits at the end of a movie.
Yeah.
You know, all those people worked on it. You know,
And the thing is too,
the
thing is too is that with the streaming model, they're losing money because, you know, when it was broadcasted on television, you have advertisers and you can negotiate how much these advertisements are paying you to be on the to be on the channel, because you can show them how many people are watching the channel, you know. With this, you don't have advertisers. You only have the monthly subscription. And I think they'll feel the pressure, too, of that. Like, it's not enough. You may have all these subscribers, but that's a monthly fee. You're losing on all the money, which also, it helps the argument of show the numbers. Like, let us know how many people are watching. Yeah. This might bring advertisers, you know, but...
Yeah, we have no idea other than word of mouth.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. And also, okay, so here's one thing I wanted to say. So, in the music industry, back in the day, record labels, in this case, the movies, it's the producers. In the music industry, it was record labels. Record labels were screwing up artists, not paying them or owning their masters, you know, the rights to their songs. In the music industry, they kind of came with a solution, because now you can bypass the record label. Now you can be an independent artist. Russ, the rapper, he's the best example. He had no label. He only had a partner, which is these people that will just put out your music. You still own it, everything, and you get your royalty check every month, but you still own it. And then it goes out to Spotify. All this stuff, what the labels used to do, the distribution and everything, it became automated. You no longer needed a record label. Do you think something could happen in this other industry, in the movie industry? And I know it's different, but where, in a way, maybe you can bypass all these greedy producers, or maybe there will be a different way of doing things where you don't have to rely on the big suits. Just like, because Russ, no record label, nothing, on his own and his team. This man is a millionaire. He filled out the Lakers arena, the Staples Centers. He made it, no record label, which is crazy. And there's other artists that have made it independently. Do you think it could be a thing in the movie industry?
I have a question to add to probably answer this, and I probably already know the answer, but I brought it up to you. There's actors and directors and writers who own their own companies, right? Like J.J. Abrams has Bad Robot, and The Rock has $7 Productions, you know. So I'm wondering, like, how does that affect it, and affect this whole, or is affected by the whole strike thing? And if so, well, that's the thing. Well, that's my question. If so, can they still like do their own thing still by being sort of independent in a way.
Well, they're independent companies, but still they work with SAG actors and writers.
Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking.
So even
They
there,
still work.
because
Yeah.
this is a union. So the union makes it so everybody gets paid the same and they're compensated fairly, because if it's a free for all, people can just negotiate and be underpaid.
What about like?
So even if you're independent company, you still have to hire SAG actors and go through SAG, the union, to pay them what they're.
And here's the thing,
Contract
SAG, the union is SAG, and from the research that I did, SAG talks to the AMPTP. They're the producers, they're the bosses, and they're the ones that negotiate. When the negotiation doesn't work, SAG says, "Okay, we're going on strike," and then they tell the people. They actually do a vote, and they all voted, or the
Which
majority
they
voted to
They
go
all
on strike.
negotiate every 3 years, and
Right.
usually it just goes smoothly if they can.
More or less.
This
Yeah.
time around, it did not. So, but to answer your question, Jeff, the difference is music and movies and TV. Music is a lot cheaper to produce. Movies are very expensive, and I mean we're talking about millions of dollars to make one movie, you know,
Yeah.
and it's 2.5 hours of content. Whereas music, you know, how many minutes is an album? You know,
An
And
album could be as long as 48 minutes,
48 minutes,
50 minutes.
but you're only dealing with audio, and you're dealing with less people to work with, less people to pay. Movies and TV shows are just way too expensive to be independent.
It's too much of a big thing, right? Like,
Yeah, it's too much of a big seat. You're always gonna need the money from the producers.
That and the multiple people you have to work with.
Yeah,
Big time.
There's just so many people. A movie's just so. The reason why it's so expensive is you can't be a bedroom filmmaker.
Yeah.
Like you can be a bedroom a producer, because you can sit in your computer and make a whole song by yourself, right? You told me, you said that.
You can kind of do that at the beginning when you're starting off. Like if you put things on YouTube or TikTok, that's your own thing, but you're not going through like a whole production company to get paid for it.
That's video production.
But that's
rather than like
videography.
movies and TV narrative work.
Right.
It's just a lot more expensive to produce, and nobody can come up with that money, you know, by themselves. So you're gonna
Right.
need the suits. That's the difference. That's why
you can't, because when you start with funding, right? But
but you're looking
you can
for
never
money.
never rely on a crowd when it's like 300 million, 200
Most people
million.
can't afford to produce a movie. A lot of people could produce music by
So
themselves.
you're pretty much depending on the mercy of investors.
In a way.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah. So, but the difference is, a movie will cost millions of dollars to make. An album will cost how much? I have no idea.
Well-
But a lot less.
Yeah, well, there will be artists like, I believe Logic, when he was signed to Def Jam, he got a deal for like 20 million. That 20 million, he would have to pay back eventually, but you put that into your music.
For how many years?
I forget how many years he was under Def Jam, but there will
But how
be
many
things like
years-
that where
That's a good question, because I actually don't know how much. But that's talking about a contract with an artist for so many years. I'm talking
Yeah.
about a single album. How much does it cost to
oh,
make
a
an
single album. I'd be lying
that's
to you
what-
if I knew, because if you're in a company, if you're not on your own, they expect you more quality, so you would have to pay. Here's a few examples. You got to pay for the engineers. You got to pay for the studio time, production, music video, the shoot, the locations, manager, road manager. It builds up. So
Yeah, sure. Well, how
Yeah,
much does
but
it cost?
it's
But
not
like,
as much as a movie. I'm
a
sure.
movie that costs 19 million. We were just talking about money.
Yeah,
19 million all the way up to 300 million. I
right.
doubt that any album itself will cost 19 million.
Well, and the thing too, that as far as I know, artists make their money on touring. That's where the money is. It's not even the streaming.
Yeah.
or
So
none
it's
of that,
just
so.
there's that difference.
Which is, see, the greediness. Artists don't make money on the streaming platforms because they're greedy and they don't want to pay more money
Well-
to the artists.
Well, hold on, because it's also like how much money it brings in. Are people paying for music in that level? Because you got to think about, when you put out an album, how many people are buying the album? And
Streaming it.
Or
but
streaming it, which I guess then, like, if it streams on Spotify, Spotify's paying the artist.
It's a really small figure, bro.
But I would say, like, people get paid depending on how much
Look,
money
listen,
that industry brings in.
Every stream, 0.003 to
Good
0.005 per stream.
I don't understand what you mean.
You
Like
don't
song
even
you
make
listen
a
to?
cent. You don't even make a cent on Spotify per stream.
Damn.
That's crazy to me.
That's insane.
yeah.
It's just a different game.
Yeah, it is, and I understand why, but I wish there was a way out, so you don't have to rely on these people that quote are waiting for you to lose your apartment in order for you
That's
to
crazy.
work with them.
That sentence is gonna go down in history as like
That's gonna be in
Like-
history books.
yeah, in the history
For
books
sure.
for like
There's gonna be a movie about
like
it.
oh you wanna represent like evil corporations and these massive studios. This is what they think of you.
Yeah. Yep. Oh,
And you know the
I'll
wild
never
thing
forget
is,
it. Good job, Bob Iger.
Well, he was
But you
the
know
one
what
that said that, but
Maybe.
no, he was. Well, his comment was a little wild too, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
the crazy thing is that when this is all over, we're gonna all go back to watching movies, and it's like, I wonder who's gonna be like, that was horrible. I'm never watching a movie again. I'm not gonna support these people.
maybe no one, but it'll be remembered. And really, who this is affecting, and people have said this, and who they're fighting for is the next generation. People who are going in the industry, and like they're fighting for them right now, as you always do. Every time you do something big, revolutionary, you're really fighting for the next generation that are coming in, and you're looking at them and saying, we want you to have a good opportunity. We want you to have, the chance to rise up if you can. But we have to set up the playing field to be manageable. Right now it's not manageable. It's not sustainable. Writers cannot pay for their own food, man. And that's most of the writers. Not everybody is James Gunn,
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, it's messed up because it's a model that they created. It's like you got them into this, but you don't want to negotiate a fair deal.
It's crazy.
And you're
too
making
that-
millions?
Yeah, it's crazy that this is such a... Because a lot of people always talk like actors, like really famous actors, get paid a lot of money, but it's because it's a wealthy industry. A movie comes out, it makes millions of dollars, man. Like, how many industry, every time you put a product out, makes millions of dollars back? Not always, but it is expected to make millions of money. So it is a high-producing industry. So to have the people who create the content be so underpaid, it's something that needs to be fixed, and people are out there fighting the good fight right now. So
How long do you
Congrats.
guys think?
we support the writers and actors.
As writers,
And, one more
directors
thing.
ourselves, we need that cash.
Yeah, we're and when we talk about the future generation, it's us.
Yeah,
If you guys
us.
know,
Yeah,
we are filmmakers. We're getting into the industry where we'll have writing jobs and directing jobs and acting jobs. We are the next people coming in, and they're really fighting our fight. So thank you to the people out there.
Absolutely, 100%.
Oh, one more thing that...
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna. It's kind of not underwhelming. It kind of hurts because you're like, you don't want to. You want to. I love making movies, writing movies, directing movies. I've always loved it, but you don't want to step into the field and step into the situation that everybody else is in because of how mistreated they're being right now.
Someone told
It's
me
like when they say, don't meet your heroes, like you look up to this thing, and then you get older and you see what they're doing. It's
and I keep thinking of like while this is happening, even before this strike, I was thinking there's a lot of production companies I probably wouldn't work with because of how everything I've heard about. So I always think how can I get around it? How can I always work with somebody else who does support this sort of thing? It's a weird thing. Yeah, don't
and
meet your heroes.
someone said to us, someone told me a story that they said when someone was talking to them about getting in the industry, who was in the industry, the first question they asked them is like, "Oh, do you hate money?"
He's like,
you're getting in the industry. Oh, okay, you're getting in the industry. Oh, you hate money.
Yeah.
Because you're not making any for a long time.
No, I think he said, well, I hope you hate money.
Yeah. I hope you hate money because it's really hard to make it. And like we're seeing that right now.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. That's really the conversation.
Briefly, because I know we got to close. Briefly, I just want to mention. So there's a union for the actors and a union for the writers. They're both on strike. The union for the directors, they came to an agreement. So I just think that's interesting that for some reason they were okay. And I even heard that maybe they being okay with the agreement affected the writers and the actors because they're kind of going off of that, like, oh, they say, yeah, we're good. You guys, y'all are being unrealistic.
Yeah, it's they let's say they offer them a 50% increase and the directors take it. So now they go to the writers and the actors be like, well, here's a 15% increase. That's not enough for them. So they're like, well, they accept it. So they're using that as a template. We don't know how much. Yeah. What was the agreement, of course.
I was going to say, do you think it's because, and this is probably just off a basic thought process, but like, you can't make a movie without a director. So they're like, they're kind of important, well, even without like writing. In a sense,
I would say the writing is probably the most important.
Well, I know we would say that, but I'm saying like from a weird standpoint, like we do have movies that are not written per se in a sense, but like directing wise, you need a head of the spear.
Well, people say that.
So they're like, oh, we need to make sure that they stay at least. So they went to them first.
My theory is that everybody says story is king. Right, and it's true. So content-wise, the writers are probably the most important ones. But when it comes to actually getting the thing done, the director is the one that makes it.
Makes it happen.
And I feel like since the director is like the head on set, it is seen as a very high position, where maybe a writer is not seen as a high position for whatever reason. Even though, like, people who know what makes something good, the actors know this. Directors know this. When you get a script and it's good, people are like, okay, this is what makes this show good.
Yeah. It's the bones. It's the bones of the movie.
But directors, maybe as a position, they get better compensated because they are the leader of the production. Who everybody answers to.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, they're not thinking, oh, if we just pay the writers, we'll make sure that. But see, that's also like logic behind that, because you would pay the writer to make sure that the movie is good enough for everybody else to be happy when they go into the.
You would want them to be on set, the whole way.
But I think studios don't understand the value that writing brings, and they're just looking at the production of it. And I think
Morbius.
Yeah,
I freaking hate that movie.
Since my opinion is that directing is a higher end viewed position, and so they get compensated better, which is why directors barely go on strike, and they were able to just come to an agreement now, because I think they're just better compensated to begin with than writers and actors are.
That's what I was thinking, because it's like it's probably easier to help them out, and also from a business standpoint and like from a general standpoint. Nobody talks about writers, right? Everybody says, "Oh, this movie's so great because this person directed." It's like,
what's funny?
There's not that many like household names in writers.
Yeah.
That's something that I always meant to ask you guys, because the more we do this podcast and the more I hang with you guys, I'm starting to learn more, and that's something I always notice is like the director is always there, famous, the name James Gunn, and I'm confused personally, because I'm like, shouldn't the writer be the most important person, because they're the ones writing the story, what we love?
But I think people say it's a director's medium, because directors do hold a lot of power in movies, not in TV. I'll say this, not in TV, in movies. They hold a lot of creative power over everything.
So they can change the writing.
They can, yes, and they do.
And also, even if it's like a good script, you could have a bad director.
Yes.
So they're always going to point at them when something's good or bad.
But so he takes the credit and the fall.
Yes. Yeah. So yes, directors get all. That's why everybody says directors get either all the credit or the blame. So it's like
They're the
if a movie
quarterback.
sucks, it's maybe because the script sucks, but everybody's looking at the director. If the script is great, and maybe there are things about the movie that has nothing to do with the director, they also get the credit. But I'll say this: directing is a harder job. There's so much pressure in directing, and like I said, you have a lot more control. A script comes in, the directors do have the powers to change the script. Maybe to what degree, not much, but they do, and it's a more higher end as far as like traffic. You're in charge of the production, whether the writers are in charge of just the writing. Director, you are involved in every department.
Yeah.
So I would
It's
say
almost
more,
like, I can see that. It's almost like in basketball because, basketball is a team sport. But when Miami lost those finals, everybody was blaming LeBron. Nobody blamed Mario Chalmers, the bench player. Everybody was looking at LeBron. So I can see how that works.
and the
that could
coach
work.
too, no?
No, they look at your star player.
Yeah.
If you're LeBron James in a team and you lose the finals to Dallas in 2012, that really hurt, by the way. Everybody was blaming LeBron.
That's how
Everybody.
you know the time, the place, the
So
minute.
I remember where I was, the time and everything. But everybody was blaming LeBron James. So I can see how that could be similar.
Yeah. Basically.
All
So
right.
we got to close it, but we didn't even touch on the AI part because that's another thing.
That's a
that-
whole other thing.
So I'll say that we did kind of talk about it a little bit a couple episodes ago, but the fact, just to end it, the fact that they think that that's a good compensation, like a good way to
So
make up for this sort of thing,
no, they think it's so okay. So
or like a
our
good
friend,
replacement. Yeah.
our friend Don, he's in your film. Shout out to Don. I was talking to him on Instagram, and he sent me this wild clip that went viral of the studios were saying it's a groundbreaking thing that we're excited for. It's crazy. We're living in the Black Mirror world. We're living in a Black Mirror episode, I swear.
Bro.
The studios want to scan the faces of background actors and then pay them a rate for your day you did the work, but then they'll keep your scan and they'll be able to use it for whatever
Forever.
movie. In
yeah,
the
this is
future.
that Black Mirror episode
Yeah,
where
with no
Bro.
films are gonna be made without actors.
I watched that clip 20 times because I was like, there's no way that could be a thing.
Listen here.
Like,
Do you guys want me to break into the AI quarters and just break it? I can end this right now.
yo, hold on.
Do it.
Salma Hayek will be there. Will she
Yeah,
be
yeah,
there?
yeah.
Can we come?
That's the most
I'll take
important
Salma
question.
Hayek.
Happy
I'll take
birthday to
Salma Hayek.
Salma. She turned like 50 the other day.
Yo.
Damn.
So I'll
bitch.
break
Saw it
into
on
the,
Instagram.
I'll break into the headquarters.
How you know that?
And I'll break the AI.
That.
I'll break the AI, and we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Honestly, this is one of those things that is like we were so worried. We were so worried whether we could that we didn't think whether we should. And I think we shouldn't. I think AI. I am really against it. I'm scared. Everybody's like, hold on, you can't give work to a computer. What about people? People, we still exist.
I think that's a funny.
We're not just consumers. We're creators too.
Yeah, I think that's a funny
It's-
conversation because people were like, "Oh, AI is gonna take over the world and become Terminator and kill us all."
Yeah.
but now it's just
They've
like,
been warning us.
You know, and it's taking
now it's
over the
like-
world in a
but
different way.
In a different way, yeah. It's just taking our job.
Yeah, you're taking our jobs, bro.
That's a little more rude.
We're
I would
gonna
say.
become obsolete. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a little more mean. That's actually a little
These
worse.
AIs are stealing our jobs.
Yeah, it's like a little personal. Like, damn.
What's next? They're gonna take our wives too.
Our wives.
But you know what's funny though? Like this is a serious topic, obviously, but it's almost funny that they were in a room and they were like, guys, this is groundbreaking. Jim, yeah, come here, close the door.
Check this out.
Go. Guys,
this.
we scan the faces and we keep them.
That was so great.
And we don't have to pay people. We don't have
Movie.
hired
Movie.
pay people.
Bro, my life a movie, bro.
God did.
God, dude. All right.
It's just
Alright.
funny that there
Yes.
are actual people in a room, saying
That's
these
so
things.
wild
So
to
it's
think
like,
about.
All right, let's
Yeah,
close
man.
this out, man. I
Look.
think we had a good.
let's hope for the best. Shout out to everybody being affected by this.
For sure.
Man, I hope everything works out. We selfishly, us and the outside, we want our movies, we want our shows, we want things to work out, but also we want everybody to be treated fairly, and we don't want anyone to lose their jobs, or that's their livelihood. That's what they do to make a living. So I hope that things work out. And anything else you guys want to say?
No, man. Let's give them their money, bro.
Yeah, that's it. Just give credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
Okay, so that will do it for us in this episode. Thank you for watching, and make sure to do all the YouTube things, like the like and the subscribe and the comment. We're here every Tuesday, or we'll try to be here every Tuesday.
No problem.
Thank you so much for watching again.
Like it.
And cut.